What is going on, YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the next project out of the holiday 2023 stuff that I'm doing. That particular project would have to be Like, the debut project by Ice Spice. So this came out in like the beginning of 2023. Ice Spice has had a pretty large year. She's been all over the place. She's done songs with Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift. She's done songs with Nicki Minaj and Taylor Swift, and this overall had a bunch of songs on the Billboard 100 this particular year. And she's just been all over the place. Big IG and TikTok star as far as that's kind of happened. This really had like a pretty deluxe kind of campaign as far as that's kind of happened and such. I just would have to say she did drop like a follow-up to Like, which is basically the Like Deluxe, which has a few more songs on there. I'm not going to review that version, but I'm going to review the one that came out in January. But then again, there was one that was re-released with there was one in April that was re-released. That's the version I'm reviewing, the one that has Nicki Minaj on there. I'm going to cover the one with the Princess Diana remix. That's kind of the concept about it. But yeah, Ice Spice has been all over the place. Definitely pretty sure at the forefront of like, for the most part, probably one of the biggest upcomers in rap music in 2023 as far as that kind of happened. That's just kind of the concept about it. But I look after it, this is a pretty actually litty. I would have to say this is a pretty litty project. I definitely like the feels and overall vestige that this particular project kind of had. I like the appeal and the vestige that this project kind of had and stuff. This definitely was a lot. Now the thing about this particular project is just the fact that Ice Spice is kind of backlash is kind of here and there. Some folks enjoy her, others don't. I think most people are pretty much sold on her looks as far as that kind of goes. But for the concept is to the quality of the music, but to the concept as far as the quality of the music, that's a little bit different. So I'd have to say I do think this project has some appeal about it. Definitely it does. It's definitely more winners than ones that are not winners on this particular project. But I think the real question is just when she gets to an album next year, supposing that happens, what will kind of happen, just to kind of see if she was just kind of a TikTok craze. Because that's the thing about blowing up on TikTok. There's been folks like Erica Banks and like Bia and folks like that kind of had like a pretty huge TikTok song. Even if they do manage to get a feature from Nicki Minaj or something like that, it doesn't necessarily always save them. Now, I think most of these ladies that do this sort of thing will be just fine just because of their looks and just overall they can switch to OnlyFans or things like that as far as that kind of goes. But I look after just being able to say in terms of the longevity is kind of interesting. But for what I've seen, I think Ice Spice kind of has the talent. The thing about her is just the fact that she does make some litty songs on here. When you get to like some of this drill, I kind of feel like the last artist that kind of did drill like this as quality as like Ice Spice is kind of doing is Pop Smoke. And it's just interesting that like the fury of songs like Munch, Feeling You, and then like Princess Diana are just some of those real kind of snappy pace. I'm glad that Ice Spice didn't fall into like the category of having like a ferocious song and then every other single after that just didn't have that quite pace and tempo as far as it kind of happened. So she at least didn't fall prey to that, and she realized that people wanted more fury like her main song that got her there. But I just kind of look after it. It's just this is very much an appetizer. And that's this kind of thing. She took the whole year just giving people appetizers and teasers and stuff. And I have to say it works like a fitting display as far as that kind of happens. But I think the big question is that is still kind of left unanswered. I think you get like small tastes as far as saying that like uh Princess Diana proved that she could do it again, because I would have to say the songs Bikini Bottom, In Her Mood, and Gangsta Boo are all kind of differential type ones where you do get the concept that she just tried different formats, not to be typecast, to just only be doing songs like Munch, Feeling You. But the concept, I do think it's necessary to kind of replicate that particular song's fury and just see if she can do it again, because that's kind of, I mean, it does kind of happen. But luckily, you're able to say, luckily, it's able to be said that at least there's another song that can replicate kind of Munch. And I would say that would be like Princess Diana, which does kind of have the appeal. And the Nicki Minaj version is a bonus also that kind of works. That's just kind of the concept about it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Ice Spice in 2024. I mean, she has the personality to be able to be around, but it's just kind of, you know, the real territory. Like hip hop hasn't been in the best state in 2023. Like there's been tons of complaints as far as this kind of happened. It's just kind of become more singles approach more so than classic albums and just things that have been kind of predominant. So it's just it's kind of here and there. Things have been kind of back and forth this year. I've kind of looked after, but Ice Spice is one that's gotten like the brunt of like the glory. But I just would have to say it just depends. You know, I wanted to listen to the quality of that music to be able to say as to whether or not it's just purely the hype and the beauty and that type of stuff as far as that kind of goes. But there is some good stuff on here. It's just kind of the fact that it's just really just full blown kind of like an appetizer. So yeah, but there were 4 singles. Basically, almost every song off this EP was released as a single. So The first single is Munch, Feeling You, and this is a song that came out in the summer of 2022. So Ice Spice had been around for a little bit before she broke out throughout 2023. This is a song that like got a shout out from Drake and that type of stuff, where she had her campaign started, just her becoming a ubiquitous name. This is kind of like a Liddy drill feral cut. This is definitely a Liddy drill feral cut. I would have to say it feels like some Central 2023 Loud Pack, I would have to say, and it's just a pal for some quick times. So the song is just a real good buddy for some quick times, I would have to say. So definitely, if you are living more furiously and just within that concept of having some vicarious type times, getting crunk, some of those type moments, as far as that's kind of concerned, this is a good Loud Pack, and it's pretty relevant to it. This would have to say, despite the fact that this song came out in 2022, it may not still be the song may not still be the huge commotion that it was in TikTok back in 2022, but I would definitely say that this song does have the appeal. And just as an overall, I mean, I was surprised by the lastability of this song. I just feel like this is definitely a song that I think when you think of 2023 is a good one to kind of look up as far as that kind of goes. I think this is kind of one that has some staying power, definitely something to say. And it's not commonly that kind of happens throughout these times. I mean, there's folks that are like more veterans in the game that just don't have the last ability. This is just a song. This is a TikTok classic. I would definitely have to say this is something. I know that sounds strange enough to kind of say TikTok classic just because that's such an instantaneous kind of appeal. But this is one that I feel like is probably a song that could get spins 2025, 2026, something like that. So that's just a good highlight. The next single is Bikini Bottom. Didn't really care for this song that much. This is kind of just like a clumsy type beat. This one's kind of more, yeah, I kind of felt like Bikini Bottom just had a clumsier type production. That one was kind of where the pace was kind of slowed down a bit. It was kind of like a stranger type atmosphere as far as that kind of happened. I mean, it just tried to switch things up, kind of being like a more kind of vivid type appeal, a little bit less drill oriented and more kind of just like standard rap or just something in a different kind of pitch. Wasn't really sure the subgenre of that one. Just kind of, right. I feel like it's kind of contemporary, but I really think the production was just not quite as affable as some of these other songs on here. I do feel like Munch, In Her Mood, and Princess Diana just do a lot better with time with some of that, but that's definitely kind of the concept about it. In Her Mood is the third single, and this is kind of like a frou-frou kind of 2020s R&B and IG type fare, I would have to say. It's a steamy kickback cut, definitely for coolin' and kind of in-between type moments. This is definitely one for just kind of like in-between, just kind of kickback, just checking your phones and stuff like that, just kind of being out and about where maybe you're going to go out, but maybe not for like another 25, 30 minutes, just getting ready, some stuff like that as far as that kind of goes. Just the in-between type stuff, just a real good coolin' tune for ladies as far as that kind of happens. Just some of that concept, just great fare for like IG women and that type of stuff, TikTok women that are just, I mean, I kind of look, the thing about some of this contemporary stuff is just the concept that these, like, Ice Spice is very contemporary, circa 2023 and stuff. So this is just some good songs to kind of have for just the concept of not listening to something retro. Like, these are kind of hits that are circa 2022, 2023. So it's not like you're getting things from previous times as far as it kind of happens. I mean, this is kind of bell of the ball type stuff as far as it kind of happens, but this is just kind of more of like an IG kind of kickback for just in between, I'd have to say. So Princess Diana is the fourth single, and this came out in April of 2023. This is the most recent single apart from Delhi, which is on the version I'm not going to review. But Princess Diana is kind of like a prowling kind of bad chick. Princess Diana is kind of like a prowling kind of bad chick type vibes, I would have to say. It's a nice stepping out fare, definitely. It's got some snaring kind of dance club hit. This song is a snaring kind of dance club hit, I would have to say, and it's pretty flashy. So this one definitely has a pretty pounding kind of thumping beat. Great follow-up to Munch, Feeling You, and the same kind of vibe as that. This one's not quite as much drill, but it definitely has like a pretty bad chick. This one definitely has like a pretty badass chick type feel about it. Bad bitch type feels that just hit pretty heavily. It's definitely a pretty accurate title to kind of have it be called Princess Diana, I would have to say. It's just a good, appealing type one. Definitely one that feels pretty central to 2023 again, I would have to say. This song charted pretty heavily, so this was all over the place at the first half of this year as far as that kind of went. It was just a nice one. The Nicki Minaj remix is like a nice Nicki Minaj bonus, I just would have to say. It's two bad bitches going dumb on the song, I would have to say. So it's a good concept. Nicki Minaj raps quick on this particular song, which is pretty interesting. It's a good pitch to kind of get that. They do, I mean, it's too bad that Ice Spice didn't have a new verse on this particular song when Nicki Minaj was on there, but I would have to say it's just a good bonus to kind of have. I mean, either one it's pretty interchangeable. It's kind of like the Savage remix with Megan Thee Stallion, how you had both versions, the one with Beyonce and the one without. It's the same kind of stuff. So I just would have to say either one is pretty good. Either one is pretty good to kind of go with. So that's two extra hits on here, just kind of interchangeable. And then two extra kind of hits on here, pretty interchangeable. And then I would have to say the only other song So that's out of 7 songs on this particular album. So there's 4.5 songs I recommend out of 7. Those 4.5 songs would be Munch Feel. Those 4.5 songs I recommend to you be Munch Feeling You, In Her Mood, Princess Diana Remix, and the almost song is Actin' a Smoochie. So the thing about Actin' a Smoochie, this one's kind of a solid companion to In Her Mood. Definitely has similar vibes to that particular one. It's just a suaver kind of plush kickback, I would have to say, and it's irrelevant. And this song is a relevant hit for some chill moments. So this is definitely one. This is another kind of IG kickback and phone checking type song as far as that kind of happens. Just some kind of getting ready to step out, or maybe just having some kickback as far as that's kind of concerned. Just kind of in between kind of moments. Definitely some in between type moments to figure out what you're going to do for the night as far as that kind of happens. It's great for IG kind of stories and that type of stuff, I would have to say. But I look after it, like this song's kind of an almost song. Actin' a Smoochie was kind of an almost song because I felt like In Her Mood was just a better delivery of that particular suave and plush type feel as far as that kind of went. So that was just a better variation of that one. But it is kind of a follow-up to kind of having that same sort of sense for just more phone checking stuff like that, I would have to say. But yeah, I just didn't vibe with Gangsta Boo that much. That one was trying to be like a summertime kind of spring break type beat as far as that kind of went, but it just didn't quite pull it off as well. I think that's off a beat that was kind of from the 2000s, just didn't quite nail it as well. Just would have to say. So basically, the only 2 songs I didn't recommend on this album was just Bikini Bottom and Gangsta Boo. Those were the only 2 real clumsy productions on here, and I kind of feel like Ice Spice definitely has the delivery. I definitely feel like Ice Spice has the delivery of 2 particular styles on this brief EP. I would definitely say some of these drill type songs and kind of suave, kind of contemporary type songs that are just litty for the moment as far as that kind of happens. Definitely in like the current times, they work extremely well in like TikTok times and stuff like that. Just bell the ball type stuff. Just in terms of right now and bell the ball type stuff, these songs hit pretty heavily. She's got the Midas touch right now as far as knowing what's hot and that type of stuff. I would have to say, apart from that, and this some of these chill type moments, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen when you get to the Ice Spice album. So we'll see what happens there. But I kind of feel like some of these other type feels as far as getting like some different variations apart from contemporary and like some chill kind of moments on just like some very fast moments and some kind of slower moments. It's just interesting to kind of see if Ice Spice has more tricks up her sleeve as far as that kind of happens. Just, I mean, for the most part, when you look after, you just think that most of these songs just work for TikTok or Instagram or something like that. But just in terms of like getting like different kind of varieties, it'll be interesting to kind of see some of that. But this is a pretty good project. I mean, I definitely feel like for contemporary times, there's a good enough appeal that it particularly kind of has. It's just the fact that I don't want to say Ice Spice is a 1 or 2 trick pony, but it makes me wonder what other hits she can come up with. So that's kind of the concept. But me liking basically 4.5 songs, and me basically recommending 4.5 songs out of 7 on here. I'm going to go ahead and give this EP like a 7.25 out of 10. I feel like there's a lot of appeal about it and a lot of overall potential that this project kind of has. And it's pretty contemporary and just overall has some litty type feels about it. But this would have to say, we'll see what happens with it. Ice Spice, we'll see how she does in 2024, or if she's going to disappear like folks like Erica Banks and like Bia and folks like that, and other kind of TikTok chicas and folks like that that just kind of have lesser shine time as far as that can happen. So we'll see what happens. But I would say the social score, I'm going to go ahead and give the social score like a 9.5 out of 10. I would almost give it a 10. I feel like the contemporariness of this album is really high. There's some good singles, but I still kind of question like the concept. I kind of have some belief that I think Ice Spice can deliver again, but I still kind of question if there's going to be hits bigger than Munch Feeling You, if that particular song is going to always be one of her best moments, or whether or not there'll be better ones. I mean, I'm pretty convinced for the most part. I think she will have the ability to do it, but I'm still kind of like, well, you know, when we get to 2 years from now, what's Ice Spice? What songs are going to be in people's heads that she's going to do and stuff. So it's interesting kind of see that. So I give it a 9.5. I do feel like she has some good vibes, but in terms of like, I think Princess Diana was a good follow-up to Munch, but I kind of question if there's going to be more songs like that. I definitely think she needs to do more drill songs and not just, I know she doesn't want to be typecast, but I do think there need to be more songs like Munch and that sort of concept, just being able to top that song and more things like that. But Princess Diana is a solid one, but, you know, just wondering if there's going to be more. So it just kind of happens to be a thing, but 9.5 social. In terms of the future, like Ice Spice dropped the deluxe version of like in like the summer of 2023. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in 2024 and stuff. But this is a pretty solid project here. Definitely has some good gems, and she's not just like Ice Spice is not like a tacky kind of musician. She does have star power and appeal, and she's pretty good lyricist and that type of stuff. She definitely has some good vibes to kind of give. So this is kind of the concept. I would give this project a whirl, but just understand that if you really do hate like 2020's kind of stuff, this might not be a detractment from that argument, but I do think it's definitely some contemporary stuff that has a lot of appeal.